We're going to turn back now to Jody Jacobson, and then we're going to turn to Professor Barbara Ramsby in Chicago, who is involved with support for Anita Hill in 1991. But Jody Jacobson, president and editor-in-chief of Rewire, there is so much to talk about here. So much news has come out. In the New Yorker piece that came out last night that detailed the accusations of the second woman to say that Brett Kavanaugh, in his first year at Yale, sexually assaulted her, pushed his genitals in her face, humiliating her and assaulting her. In that same New Yorker piece is a quote from Mark Judge's ex-girlfriend, Elizabeth Rasor. I'm not sure, Razor. How do you pronounce her name? R-A-S-O-R. Now, Mark Judge was a friend of Kavanaugh. He wrote the book Wasted, about his high school years. In it, there is a person called Barto Kavanaugh, which is clearly a thinly veiled reference to his friend. And the New Yorker piece quotes Mark Judge's ex-girlfriend, Elizabeth Rasor, saying Rasor recalled that Judge had told her ashamedly of an incident that involved him and other boys taking turns having sex with a drunk woman. Rasor said that Judge seemed to regard it as fully consensual. She said Judge did not name others involved in the incident, and she had no knowledge Kavanaugh participated, but Rasor was disturbed by the story and noted it undercut Judge's protestations about the sexual innocence of Georgetown Prep. Rasor stressed under normal circumstances I wouldn't reveal information that was told in confidence, but she said, I can't stand by and watch him lie.
Yeah, so Mark Judge and Brett Kavanaugh, I believe, are still friends. They've been friends for a very long time. Mark Judge has written prolifically, not just in the one book you mentioned, but in others, about how his alcoholism throughout his teen years and how wild his life was. He has refused to come and testify on the Senate Judiciary Committee. GOP has refused to subpoena him. Now, he's been identified by this woman in the New Yorker as having told her stories of what are effectively gang rapes, because as the story is told, they get a woman drunk and gang rape her. So I think this alone merits investigation, and I think it's part of the reason that Judge doesn't want to come before the committee, because he would be under oath and be questioned about these things. And he's got his own lengthy written record of all of these activities. I think also, you've got this hint by Michael Avenatti. It's not corroborated. I don't know whether or not he has actual evidence or he's sort of trying to get into the drama on this. I don't know, but
let me go into when you're talking
yeah.
about Michael Avenatti.
Yeah.
This is very important. The lawyer for Stormy Daniels. This is the list of questions that Michael Avenatti says should be asked of Brett Kavanaugh, and these were released in a series of emails he had with the person you were talking about earlier, Mike Davis,
right.
the staffer
right.
on the Senate Judiciary Committee. This is what Michael Avenatti says should be asked of Judge Kavanaugh. 1, did you ever target one or more women for sex or rape at a house party? Did you ever assist Mark Judge or others in doing so? 2, did you ever attend any house party during which a woman was gang raped or used for sex by multiple men? 3, did you ever witness a line of men outside a bedroom at any house party where you understood a woman was in the bedroom being raped or taken advantage of? 4, did you ever participate in any sexual conduct with a woman at a house party whom you understood to be intoxicated or under the influence of drugs? And 5, did you ever communicate with Mark Judge or anyone else about your participation in a, quote, train involving intoxicated women? 6, did you ever object or attempt to prevent one or more men from participating in the rape or taking advantage of a woman at any house party?
Yes.
These are the questions Michael Avenatti says
yes.
The senators must ask.
He's implying that he's got information about this. Again, it's uncorroborated. He hasn't brought forth any person, but it connects back to the story that Razor told in the New Yorker, and it also connects back to other pieces of the New Yorker story and other reporting around Kavanaugh at Yale. He was part of a fraternity that was known for very heavy drinking. It had a somewhat I won't repeat the name on TV, but its sort of colloquial name was very offensive to women. He's part of the fraternity that marched around saying yes, no means yes, and yes means anal, and used to walk around with a flag made of women's underwear and bras. So his life trajectory, at least
the all-male secret society was truth and courage, and it was that T and C that was, colloquially referred to it.
Yes.
Insult to women.
Yes. So again, there's sort of a bigger pattern here that if you were really interested in investigating, let's just remind ourselves that Brett Kavanaugh does not have a great deal of credibility anyway, because several people knowledgeable about his testimony on other issues have claimed that he perjured himself, like Lisa Graves, who was chief counsel during the time that he was at the White House in the Bush administration. He somehow pulled out calendars from high school this weekend, but couldn't find emails that he was copied on during his relationship with Judge Kaczynski, who was widely known for harassing women and sending pornographic material around to his clerks. So there are very selective memories going on here with, talk about selective memory. Brett Kavanaugh seems to have a very selective memory and only brings forth those things that seem to hold up his end of the story.
I wanted to ask you one last question. Rewire particularly focuses on reproductive rights.
Yes.
And I wanted to ask you, Jody, about what you see as the connection, about if you see there is a connection between, what Kavanaugh is being accused of and also his views on issues like Roe v. Wade and what surprised many in his hearings, talking about contraceptives as drugs that induce abortions.
Right. So, as we all know at this point, it's been a project for 40 years of the far right to get rid of Roe v. Wade and to eliminate abortion in this country. And if you recall, Trump promised on the campaign trail to put judges on the court that would do that. And Kavanaugh has a very solid record of being against abortion rights. He was the sole judge that tried to stop a young girl from getting an abortion who was in an immigrant girl in custody. He was overridden, but he personally tried to stop that abortion from happening. He's very anti-choice, and he also repeated a right-wing talking point, which is that contraception, which prevents pregnancy, so it can't be an abortifacient because you can't have an abortion if you are not pregnant, that contraception is an abortifacient. And this is, the original fake news system is the right-wing anti-choice movement because they have used so much fake information. It's not science, it's fake information as a sort of counter to real science and evidence around abortion and contraception. And by repeating that trope, he shows exactly how little he knows and how ideological he is about what the CDC calls one of the greatest public health achievements of the past century, which is contraception. So he's very anti-choice and anti-contraception.
Jody Jacobson, president and editor-in-chief of Rewire. We will link to her latest piece. GOP wants Aunt Lydia, an attack dog staffer, to question Dr. Blasey Ford. This is Democracy Now! When we come back, we'll be joined by Professor Ransby, Professor Barbara Ransby, who will talk about her role in gaining support, particularly of African-American women, for Anita Hill, back during the Anita Hill, Clarence Thomas hearings. Stay with us.